Women who get together with other women are healthier, happier, and stronger.
Now we can make some figure eights with our hips. Figure eight, figure eight, figure eight, figure eight. Woo!
By the time I met Mickey, I had already contemplated suicide and I was developing a plan. That's how dark my life had gotten.
Because I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman, that's me.
Hello, and welcome to Prime Time for Women, a show for and about women in their prime. As you can see, I am not Bernadette Wagner. My name is Andy Overton, and I have the distinct and incredible honor to kick off today's show. Before COVID took hold in all of our communities, you might recognize me as the in-between-the-scenes MC and audience engagement guru during Prime Time for Women's live tapings. Bernadette also had me as a guest on her show, talking about community service in many different forms. Man, things have changed, and I really do miss those days. Prime Time for Women, as many of you know, has been an incredible place for women from diverse backgrounds to connect, share stories, explore new possibilities, and discover their own power and potential. And as Bernadette has said about 1 billion times, when women come together, they are stronger, happier, and healthier. So, buckle up everyone, because women are about to get a lot happier, a lot healthier, and not just in the tri-state area, but across the country. That's right. This show, this beacon of incredible empowerment, is going national. So, I am thrilled because I get to ask Bernadette all about it. And I'm not just going to ask her about Prime Time for Women. No, I want to ask her about her passion, an infectious desire to build community wherever she goes. So, without any more introduction, everyone, Bernadette Wagner. Hi, Bernadette, how are you?
I'm fine, Andy. This is weird being on the other side of this.
It is. So, Bernadette, you're going national. Tell us about that.
Well, it's terribly exciting, and we are going to have a national membership platform. And women, not just in the tri-state area, but from across the country, can come together and experience a safe, welcoming community. We're going to have experts from tons of different fields, medicine, finance, fashion, all kinds of relationships. And they'll offer courses and programs. There'll be opportunities to interact with these experts. We're going to have women have the opportunity to share their stories and their strengths, to inspire others and be inspired. It will be a community of women, a sisterhood where women get to really connect and celebrate and discover new possibilities.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, before we go any further, I have a question. What do you mean by women in their prime?
Okay, so yeah, like people say, what age is prime? Prime is not really an age, it's more of an attitude about age. So women in their prime are women who have lived a little, made some mistakes, learned a lot, and maybe learned a lot from those mistakes. And because they have learned a lot, they are more willing to be open. They're more willing to try new things. I think women in their prime say, I can do anything I want to do. You say I can't do it? I can do it. That means you're in your prime. I think women in their prime also are women who feel like they can journey together with others. They understand that their life is better when they're connected. And I think the last thing, women in their prime, they're not afraid to try new things. I think it's more like, instead of thinking, I'm afraid to try something new, they would feel more like, I'll regret if I don't try it. So I think women in their prime are looking to explore life's possibilities at this stage of life.
Wow, interesting, so interesting. And now that I understand a little bit more about what prime is, tell me the why behind the show and the thing that really kick-started you from the beginning.
Right. So when I was in my mid to early 50s, I started thinking about my own aging process and how I would age healthfully. And I read a bunch of books. I love to learn things, and I read Goddesses Never Age and Younger Next Year and Refire, Don't Retire. And all of these books talk about the stories that we tell ourselves. And really, the stories we tell ourselves, what we can and cannot do, impact what we are and are not able to do. It was also very clear as I was getting more into the medical research that the predominant factor in somebody's aging well process was determined by the number of positive social connections that they had. So people with a large number of social connections have a decreased risk for diabetes, depression, dementia, even certain kinds of cancer. And people that don't have that kind of support have those issues at a higher percentage. So it became abundantly clear to me that I was not going to age healthfully alone. I was going to have to do it in relationship with other people, so that's how it started.
That is fascinating. Now, just for a few minutes here, I'd like to know who helped you launch Primetime for Women. Who are your supporters and cheerleaders?
So I think that in my family, my husband, my siblings, and my mom, I grew up in this family of 7 sisters and a mom, and I knew my whole life what it meant to have sisters support me. And from Primetime for Women, it was sort of like, how can we take that to a bigger level for more women? And so I would say my mom and my sisters were an incredible support to me in that regard. I also think wouldn't be here without the support of Antietam Broadband, who really has supported me, but also supports women in their prime in our community. Meredith Health, and also the folks at Kepler, at HCC, who allowed us to use Kepler Theater, and the Women's Club, who allowed us to use their beautiful facility to tape shows.
Oh, Bernadette, that's absolutely wonderful. That history is incredible. So, folks, we need to take a short commercial break, but when we come back, Bernadette will talk about some of her favorite memories from past shows and tell us more about Primetime for Women's new national platform.
14 years ago, he diagnosed her with cystic fibrosis.
Our doctors read charts and test results.
Knowing my family history, she screened me early for colon cancer.
They read medical journals and digital images. But the most important thing they read...
He put down the laptop, he looked me in the eye, and listened.
...are their patients. Meritus Medical Group. Home to your extraordinary doctor.
Seems like everyone you meet today claims to be a content creator. Well, at Antietam Media Services, we're much more than just content creators. We're producers, directors, and editors that are never afraid to roll up our sleeves and bring our expertise to you. From full-blown live multicam productions live streamed to the world, to single-camera commercial production, we've got the gear, we've got the people, and we've got the drive to give your event or business the exposure it deserves. We've been doing this since 1981, and Antietam Media Services has produced tens of thousands of hours of live content and thousands of commercials that put your name on the networks and on the digital platforms that provide you the biggest return on investment. It's a big world out there, and we're ready to help you tell your story. Call, email, or log on to AntietamMediaServices.com and tell us more about your project. 4 decades of experience and never afraid of a challenge. We're Antietam Media Services.
All right, we're back. And before we get to reminisce a little bit about all the past shows, Bernadette, I want to talk to you a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper about your family and those supporters. Talk a little bit more about your sisters and your mom for me and what kind of influence they've had over Primetime for Women.
Well, you know, before I say that, I was going to tell you, I wear my mom passed away, and I wear her wedding ring. And on important days, I wear my mom's wedding ring and the ring my husband gave me with 2 opals in it the day my twin daughters were born. So they kind of I carry them with me literally and figuratively. And it's a little bit a nod to the support that I got and received in my youth and growing up and into my womanhood, and to what I hope to pass on to my daughter's generation, and what I hope Primetime for Women does for all women. So that's just a little bit about how important my family is to me. But I would also say that you know, growing up in a large family, there was 11 of us, 7 girls and my mom, and then there was 2 boys. My sisters and I, of course, we challenged each other, we supported each other, we fought over clothes with each other, but really we were there in a way that was really mutually inspiring. They inspired me, I inspired them, and that's something really special. We listened to each other's stories, and I think when you feel that you've been seen and heard, that gives you a confidence and to try and to do new things. And one of the things that I think is kind of emblematic of my relationship with my sisters is growing up and well into our 40s and 50s, 60s, we built a family pyramid at our family reunions, at our gatherings. And so quite literally and figuratively, because I'm the shortest, I stood on the backs of these other women. They lifted me up. I was held up upon their shoulders. They held me higher. And I hope that Prime Time for Women is an organization that holds up other women, that lifts them higher and empowers them to try the many, many unlimited possibilities that are available to them in their prime.
Wow, it just really sounds like you have a support system that has supported you from the beginning, and then in return, you support them in return and back. That's wonderful, Bernadette.
Passing it on, right?
I really
Playing it
like
forward.
that, without a doubt. I think we could all use a little bit of that in all of our lives. So let's shift just a little bit here to this national platform. Why is this important? Maybe you can talk a little bit about how you're going to reach folks and what does that mean, bringing this to a national platform?
Yeah, I think right now, of course, in the time of COVID, you know, everything has shifted. And prior to COVID, Prime Time for Women did tons of in-person events. We did book clubs and workshops and live tapings of the TV shows. We had classes that we offered. You know, we're not doing those things now, and I don't know when we're going to do them again. But we do know that the impact of social isolation is incredible, and it's affecting everybody. In fact, the APA just came out with a policy paper. It's called Advancing Social Connection as a Form of Social Health Policy. And they're seeing the importance of that. So trying to find a new way to do that, if we can't be in person, how can we do that virtually? And initially, I was hesitant to really embrace this idea that virtual connection can be just as powerful and intimate. But I have experienced tons of connection now, and it inspired me to say, okay, this is a vehicle we can use to reach out to women. And once I embraced virtual as a virtue, it just made sense to offer it to all women in their prime across the entire country.
Yeah, sure. And I guess pivoting is always important so that we can continue bringing Prime Time for Women to women all over the country. But you've got to have some great memories, right? Of those in-person and live shows. Could you share a few with us?
So, of course, I think our very first show was just such a hoot. It had never been done before. And we had Stacy Pearsall. She was a Bronze Star recipient, and she is the founder of the Veterans Portrait Project. She'd been on Oprah and she'd been on PBS NewsHour, and she heard about Prime Time for Women, and she had just finished doing a female veterans portrait exhibition down in DC. And I'd reached out to her and she said, yes, I'm gonna come do your show. So for me, that was just like mind-blowing to say that she understood how important it was to celebrate, connect, and empower women. That same show, Takesha Martinez, our poet laureate, she read Maya Angelou's poem, Phenomenal Women. And that was just such an incredible experience for everybody there.
Incredible, incredible. Well, we're going to learn a little bit more about Bernadette when we come back from this commercial break. Stay with us.
14 years ago, he diagnosed her with cystic fibrosis.
Our doctors read charts and test results.
Knowing my family history, she screened me early for colon cancer.
They read medical journals and digital images. But the most important thing they read...
He put down the laptop, he looked me in the eye, and listened.
...are their patients. Meritus Medical Group, home to your extraordinary doctor.
With over 50,000 square feet of merchandise, chances are Labor's has what you need. And right now, the best way to shop is to browse laborsfurniture.com. Just pick out what you need and we can deliver your furniture to your home or office. Of course, Labor's carries office furniture and home furnishings, but did you know they also carry cleaning supplies and paper products? Labor's has a lot more than you might think, and right now, they will deliver right to your door. Family owned and operated, that's Labor's Furniture. Open to serve our community when you need us the most.
The DVR. It's changed the way we watch TV. And now, Antietam Broadband takes you to the next level with TiVo. Find your favorites on cable or streaming video faster with voice-activated integrated search. Record up to 6 channels at once and watch from any TV in your home. TiVo from Antietam Broadband. It will change your life. Call today or visit AntietamBroadband.com to learn more.
And welcome back. We're still here talking with Bernadette Wagner, Primetime for Women's host and founder. You mentioned a lot about the first season, but I feel as though Primetime for Women has always been really connected to the community and sometimes even ahead of its time. Could you talk about a few segments that might fit that mold?
Yeah, so back in April of 2019, 9 months before George Floyd was murdered, we had Milagros Phillips on our program. And Milagros is a national speaker, a TED Talk presenter, author, and creator of Race Demystified. It's a program, an intensive program that maximizes racial understanding, inspires hope and healing, and really kind of the goal is to create intentional action that leads to change. And having her on the show was just an incredible experience. There was a little bit of, it was clear that there was people that were looking to understand and people who were struggling to understand. But we were ahead of our times. We're a community that's willing to engage in those kind of important conversations. So that was important. Also, when we had Abby Maslin on our show, she wrote a book after her husband was attacked coming home from a Nationals game and suffered head trauma. She wrote Love You Hard. It's a marriage memoir on marriage, brain trauma, and reinventing love. And that was an incredible story. I remember looking out at the audience and seeing people with tears in their eyes. They were so moved by her presentation.
Bernadette, I was at that taping and I too was behind the scenes with tears in my eyes, but I was empowered by that story and empowered by that love.
Yeah, me too. I think everybody felt that way. I think one of the other things that was always really fun was when we had many dance segments on dance, and dance, by the way, is one of the activities that, according to research, is the best way to create healthy brains, is to learn choreographed dancing. So when we had we had salsa with Sandra, and we had belly dancing, and then of course Peter Arizmendi helped us create the Prima Donna Dancers, a hip hop group for women in their prime, and that was just an incredible experience to spend weeks and weeks learning that dance and then getting to perform it on the show with such support from the women in the audience. It was an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things about Primetime for Women is that truly you can connect with not just the folks in the audience, but I think that those people then go out and tell everybody about what a great time they had or the empowerment they felt, and that's a really special connection to our community.
Yeah, I agree. And we always invited people to come up on the stage and to dance with the salsa or the belly dancing, because what's happening on the stage is important, but the people in the audience, they deserve to be seen and heard too. And we're looking to provide those people, those women in the audience, with the opportunity to be recognized and to have a role in our community as well.
Oh, without a doubt. And the neat thing about Primetime for Women is that it has a second season. And I know that it got better and badder and more empowering. Can you talk a little bit about some of those favorite episodes or things that happened that maybe even people didn't pick up on right away?
So our second season was supposed to be a panel sort of like The View. And we did 2 shows with, we had a diverse panel of women, Aniela Hack and Angela Petrie and Daphne Smith-Jackson and Darcy Easton, a 90-year-old woman who was on the show to tell us, she told us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. She was a hoot. Just a really chance to dialogue about current hot topic issues. And that was exciting to me. But then COVID hit. and we lost a couple months of taping shows. When we came back, we did long interview formats where we got to speak to one person at a time, but all of those women shared so much from a personal level. Some shared personal struggles and how they found the power and strength to overcome them. Some were female entrepreneurs who talked about their passions and how those passions and talents led to them creating new jobs and finding new businesses on their own. Every single woman that was on the show, whether they were talking about the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, or farming, or all the different passions and talents they bring forward, just highlight the incredible possibilities that are available to women in their prime. And it's neat to highlight them and to celebrate their successes, knowing that they will inspire others to follow their dreams too.
Oh, it's fantastic. Can you talk just a little bit about that pivot then in COVID? Really, how did you do what you did? You really brought out the best in some of your interviews and the folks here. How did you get that done?
So one of my, well, I'm not exactly sure, except that I worked with great women and had great guests. But one of the things, back in the first season, we had an artist on our show, Leslie Whaley, and she talked to the whole audience was shouting out what colors mean something to them, what words inspire them at this stage of life, community, hope, love, joy, fear, different colors, sayings. And she took all of that, and for months and months during COVID, she created an original piece of art that reflects the women, the Primetime for Women community here in Hagerstown. That now hangs in my office. And she delivered that to me just recently. But it took all those months, almost a whole year, to create that piece. And I feel like all the women in the community are in my office with me.
Oh,
so
that's
fantastic.
Special. That's fantastic. Well, folks, we're going to be right back after this commercial break with more from Bernadette Wagner.
"14 years ago, he diagnosed her with cystic fibrosis.
Our doctors read charts and test results.
Knowing my family history, she screened me early for colon cancer.
They read medical journals and digital images. But the most important thing they read
He put down the laptop, he looked me in the eye, and listened.
are their patients. Meritus Medical Group, home to your extraordinary doctor.
Yeah, welcome back, welcome back. We're here again with Bernadette Wagner. So, Bernadette, you have a passion for reaching people and being transparent and being very honest. But I'm going to turn the tables on you for just a little bit. All right, I want to know what makes you tick. What gets you up in the morning and gets you going?
Well, I'm better at asking the interview questions when you turn the tables on me. Okay, so let me think about that. So, before I get up in the morning, I will say this. I say a little poem or a prayer or meditation, I'm not exactly sure, but it's a reminder to me that, to be full of gratitude, that life is precious, and that I am looking to live my purpose in relationship with other people.
Oh, Bernadette, would you be willing to share that with us?
I'll try.
All right.
So it goes, in the pre-dawn darkness, I take this moment to rest in stillness, to give gratitude for this day, to give joy and gratitude for the people in my life. Then it goes, this feels like pressure. And then it says, I know that my time here in this world is but a brief moment in time. May I open myself to the process of becoming more whole, of loving more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, and understanding more completely the meaning and purpose of my life.
Understanding more completely the meaning and purpose in my life. It's powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
It's
I know it's
written,
a little tough for you.
Written by Tim Halley. It's just a little bit of way of setting the intention so that when I get up in the day and do my business, whether it's exercising or doing prime time for women stuff or reaching out to my children or grandchildren, that I'm doing it with some intention.
That's incredible, and that gets you up in the morning.
That does get me up.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're an incredibly connected and busy woman, but really, what's your superpower? How do you do it?
Well, I think my superpower is connecting people. It just gives me a ton of joy to bring people together. I don't think I need to be in the center of things, but I like the idea of being a bridge that from one person to another or from one community group to another. It fills me with a sense of meaning to know that we're not alone, because I really do believe that we are stronger, healthier, and happier together. So I think that is my superpower, just connecting people with each other.
That is so interesting to me. So can you talk a little bit more about the connection? You know, here in the community, we seem to always have folks needing or wanting something, but you do this because you love it, and it empowers not just you, but everybody else. Can you talk just a little bit about what that really means to Bernadette Wagner?
So, you know, we just launched this project called the Community Afghan, and it's a way of recognizing that people are isolated during COVID, but they also might have more time to learn a new skill. So we're partnering with the Yarn Shop, where people can learn how to crochet a 4-inch granny square. And so a 4-inch granny square represents one person. But when that granny square is connected with tons of others, it becomes a blanket that you can wrap around you. It provides warmth and support and comfort. And I think that's how community is. One individual by themselves is not going to do a lot. But when you come together, you build a community that provides warmth and comfort and support for everybody. And you know, it's interesting, the research talks about, in particular, women who have strong social networks, that their health and mental well-being and life satisfaction scores are all higher than those who don't have it. But it's interesting, the communities where there's large numbers of volunteers and large numbers of people that are living in close connection, those communities fare better. They have better satisfaction scores. The shops are supported at a higher percentage. And so it just goes to show that what happens on the individual can transform not only the individual's lives, but the lives of the people in that community.
Interesting. Now, you know, we started this entire segment and this entire hour about talking about how you know about healthier, stronger, and happier lives. And you talked about all the books that you've read.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about some of that research that is based and has really propelled Prime Time for Women and has really created this vision for you?
Yeah, so one of the books I read is actually a novel. It's written by Tommy Orange. It's called There, There. And in the book, one of the characters, this is a quote, he says, I love hearing stories from people who are like me, because when I do, I feel less alone. And when I feel less alone, I can live a better life. And I just think that's true of all of us. And I can remember reading that novel and saying, okay, I'm going to make sure that I use that when I speak about the Prime Time for Women's mission, this idea that together we're going to celebrate, connect, and empower everyone through that connection.
That is fascinating. Is there anything else that we need to know about Bernadette Wagner before this national platform kicks off? What else can we learn about you? Any little tidbits, any help, any information? Now's your chance.
Boy, I would just say that I'm open to the community and the national community to send me ideas, suggestions. You know, make sure that you feel like you are free to be seen and heard and share your ideas, and we'll implement them. Oh,
that's fantastic. Well, I'm so excited to see where Prime Time for Women show is going to take you, Bernadette. This has been absolutely fantastic. And I'm ecstatic to see that you bring your empowering message to women across the country, not just here in the tri-state area. So folks, that's all the time that we have today. And I'd like to thank you, Bernadette, for this incredible opportunity and this honor to host this show. Folks, please be sure to check out Prime Time for Women's new national platform, which will go live in February at primetimeforwomen.com. And I think I can speak for both Bernadette and, of course, me. I'd like to wish everyone, and you and your family, a happy holiday season. Stay healthy and be well.